New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Joe Tacopina's on the phone. Joe, you there?
I'm here, Ebro.
So, Joe, can you give us the hard details on this Meek Mill scenario? We know the judge has said he violated his parole by having contact with police officers, and he's going to get 2 to 4 years. You say that is a harsh punishment, and what is the grounds for you saying that that's harsh punishment?
Well, it's violation of probation. It is,
or probation.
It's not me saying it's harsh punishment. It's distorted and sort of a perverse handing out of justice. Because if I were just as Meek's attorney, the one saying 2 to 4 is really hard, it's ridiculous. I mean, look, I can give you 100 people right now that don't get 2 to 4 years for hard crimes, okay? I mean, we could go through the list.
Okay.
This is a technical violation of probation. This kid has been on probation for 10 years. Nobody's on probation for 10 years.
Right.
It was supposed to be a 5-year term that she keeps extending and extending because of various, what she says, is violations of probation. But they're technical violations for the most part. Like, you know, he's doing a tour, he's got a concert in Houston, and she said she wasn't notified in time of the schedule and things of that nature. I mean, probation violations are supposed to be, you know, when you're really going backwards in your rehabilitation. Meek has done nothing since he was a 19-year-old, but go forward and become one of the greatest entertainers in our country, and also gives back to his community, which is different than a lot of people do. So he should be the ideal guy of someone who has rehabilitated himself and has become something. But she keeps insisting on keeping him under her thumb for whatever reasons, and I quite frankly think they're perverse reasons that she's doing it. But when
let's go into perverse reasons. What are the reasons you
Joe,
think?
can you go into?
I'm going to give them to you, but I want to say one thing from the get-go. It's not us saying 2 to 4 is perverse. The prosecutor, the district attorney, and the probation officer, the two people who, for the most part, always seek more punishment than the defense wants, said here, the violations here, the technical violations, don't require jail time. They both the prosecutor and the probation officer said no jail time. And the judge said, yeah, I don't care what both of you guys are saying.
What?
And I'm going to give him 2 to 4 years, which I've never, in my experience, both as a prosecutor and defense lawyer in 29 years of doing this, has that ever happened once in a courtroom? Not one time except this time. Now, the other reasons that you have to look into the judge's conduct, and people are looking into the judge's conduct, believe me, but the other reasons is she's made requests of Meek Mill that are entirely inappropriate and, quite frankly, improper and illegal for a judge to make.
We've read those, the ones about the management, you know, him stepping away from Rock Nation management in favor of one of her friends.
Yeah, I want more information on that. How do we know about that? Like, how did this play out with the judge?
There's various transcripts where repeatedly she keeps talking about this guy, Charlie Mack, who has a felony record, by the way, which right then and there, you know, is a violation of probation, right? Now, if Meek had been associating with a felon on his own, she would have violated him and put him in jail.
But so she knows Charlie Mack. Charlie Mack's a Philly legend.
Philly, yeah.
So she knows Charlie Mack, and that's just a relationship she has and is trying to get him to go with Charlie?
I don't know the extent let me be clear. I don't know the extent of that relationship. But we have evidence that there's a relationship between her and Charlie Mack, and there's a third party involved, and those details I can't share right now because they're going to be subject to one of our motions.
Okay.
But there's a relationship there, but she was pushing Meek to leave Rock Nation to go back to Charlie Mack. Now, Charlie Mack was Meek's manager when, you know, he was a teenager. You know, he's a different level now. Rock Nation, obviously, one of the most, you know, respected management company for entertainers in this genre. Okay, so Meek is obviously in the best of hands. He knows that, and he's been becoming a superstar on the Rock Nation. So for her to suggest that he go back to a local guy, who, by the way, and I don't know this guy Charlie Mack, but he does have a felony record. And according to the transcript that we read, she was willing to make an exception for the rule that probationers can't associate with felons.
And you know, Joe, I've known Charlie Mack 20 plus years. Nicest guy. Don't know about his felony record, but the fact that a judge has any opinion on it one way or another is really the issue.
Management.
Yeah, it's really the issue.
That's the point. She shouldn't be making requests. Oh, listen, sing a song, redo a song, voice member, do a shout out to me. Talk about how I think positive influence in your life, mention me by name. You know, she shouldn't be making that request of the guy that she's judging his liberty. And then making a request that she should change management companies. I mean, that's none of her business. I mean, and when she starts crossing that line, you then have troubles like you have now, where all of a sudden she gives him 2 to 4 years when nobody in the courtroom, including the prosecutor or probation officer, are saying any jail is appropriate, then you have to start wondering what's in her mind. Does she feel upset that she didn't, acquiesce to our request that she shouldn't have been making? There's a lot.
She's trying to be popping, like a lot. She's trying to be popping out here with her friends in her little community and trying to flex her little power and abusing power, which is another conversation that we'll get into because, it's a lot of things that artists and we all deal with people who used to want to have a rap career but ended up in a life that they didn't want, like a police officer or a judge, and then they try to give rappers and entertainers a hard time. But that's a whole other thing for a whole other day. Joe, I read also in transcripts where clearly there were emails sent, and you guys all have documentation of emails sent following proper procedure, and in the hearing, she acted as if she did not know about these things.
It was like a Twilight Zone, really. It was really, if you didn't read the transcript, you wouldn't believe what you just said. That's exactly what happened. She cited him for a probation violation for saying, we didn't get permission, Rock Nation didn't get permission for him to go down to Atlanta for a rehabilitation clinic, or to go to a venue for an event. And she said those are violations of probation, and she was considering that in her punishment. And we said, wait a minute, you got emails and you approved it. And she said, I never did. We produced in the courtroom, we showed her the emails with her name on it and the district attorney's name. She said she never got that. She asked the district attorney to confirm that she never got it, and the district attorney said, well, Your Honor, you were on the emails.
So with all of this clear evidence, there's gonna be another hearing, right? Which takes place when?
Well, it's not about a hearing. Right now we have to make a series of motions.
Motions, okay.
For her to recuse herself,
All
motions
right.
for reconsideration, which we expect fully to be denied because it's the same judge who's going to be hearing them. And then we'll go to the appellate route, and we'll try and find judges who are fair and impartial, and we'll view this for what it is. And look at the facts. We're not saying treat Meek differently because he's a superstar. We're saying don't treat him differently because he's a successful young black entertainer who's been wildly successful and has this. I mean, let me give you another example. He was doing a community service at a homeless shelter. Which he's done a lot of. She showed up to watch him do community service. Okay, the judge at the homeless shelter.
Yeah, I never heard of that.
Never
heard of that.
Go ask any judge in America that will speak to you. There's never been one judge who's gone to a community service to watch one of her 1,000 defendants do community service.
So she clearly had some sort of fixation with Meek. And now we had an interview, Rosemary. When was that interview with Meek? When I think it was he first got out after serving time,
yeah.
And he came up and we talked to him about the fact that he was feeling like they picked on him because of his profile, and that throughout his probation and throughout instances happening, even since he was 19, because of his profile, they were trying to make an example out of him. That was basically what he was saying in that conversation.
Sure.
Joe, do you feel like this is what we're seeing right now, is that because he is a prominent male figure in hip-hop, they can use him as kind of the poster boy for behave yourself in Philly, or this could happen to you?
In Philly and everywhere else. I mean, look at what happened to him in New York. I mean, I got that case dismissed for him, but the fact that he was arrested and the way he was arrested was disgusting. He was doing a wheelie on a motorcycle bike with 8 other guys who were also doing wheelies during a video shoot for one of his rappers.
Oh, it was for a video shoot?
Wow.
So, yeah, he was doing a wheelie on clips that they used.
I never knew it was for a video shoot.
But if it wasn't clear, does it really matter that there were cameras there? I mean,
there was nobody around except the other motorcyclists. They arrest him, not that day. The cops were there that day. They saw it. Nobody arrested him. But someone down at the headquarters of Police Plaza made the decision to go pull him out of a community service event he was doing for the youth basketball league. When he came out surrounded by kids, giving autographs and doing pictures, 22 cop cars came around him and arrested him like he was John Dillinger.
Wow.
I mean, it was.
That's
disgusting.
excessive.
And then
Very.
they charged him. But here's the telling part. Out of the 8 guys doing wheelies, he's the only one that got arrested. Why? I mean, what do you think? If his name was John Smith and he was just another one of these other guys, there's no way he would have arrested him, let alone send 22 cars to dispatch.
Well, especially if there was cops there when the video shoot was already happening and nobody had a problem with it at that moment. Because that changes the whole discussion.
In the video is the cop van. You see the cops in the video. So they didn't see him doing wheelies going, oh my God, we got to save New York and arrest this guy right now. They didn't do a thing.
That changes the whole discussion because as somebody who just sat here and heard the story, we gave him a congratulations, you played yourself, because it's like everybody knows you shouldn't be popping wheelies in New York City or doing anything crazy on bikes. They're going to get you. That's number one. But now you find out it's a video shoot and cops were there.
You got to take it back.
I mean, that
might be our first retroactive, retractive.
Yeah, if
Congratulations,
cops were in fact there, that's crazy.
Well, Joe, so the motions, then a hearing, this could take how long for Meek Mill? Because, I mean, as an outsider, I'm looking at this, I don't see any way that they could keep him with the amount of pressure that's going to come from the community, the amount of attention this is going to get on this judge, the amount of clear evidence that there was something, as you put it, perverse taking place. How long could this process take?
Listen, the process could take, upwards of a year, I mean, in theory. But we're going to do everything in an expedited fashion, as we are doing right now. We're going to be filing everything in an expedited fashion. We're going to be seeking relief everywhere we can seek relief, from political members of the political society in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania to judicial remedies that we could take with appellate courts. But we're going to do everything we need to do to get this guy out, because it is a perversion of justice. Had he committed a crime, then it's hard for us to argue. He made a mistake, whatever. But this guy has been someone who's actually turned his life around. I mean,
the last conversation we had with him on his album, he came up here and talked about being clean and how much cloudiness he was under before and where his mind is at now.
This is what we want. This is what we want from our entertainers. We want to be like him. But no, they have.
Oh, we're losing you, Joe. Damn.
I think it's all right.
Joe Tacopina, I think we got the gist of it. Thank you for your time.